Welcome to the Life with Love podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk to you. I feel like we relate on a few levels. Well, first of all, you're a TV host. You have a show that is so cool, which I want to get to. You're also a military spouse, and I want to talk about all this because I feel like being a military spouse is such a unique world. Not a lot of people understand it. There's a lot of nuances, and I get asked questions all the time about it and sort of the uniqueness of it. So I'm hoping we can kind of talk through some of that together. And I would love to know some of the challenges that you face. But first, why don't we start at the beginning? Can we talk about your story a little bit and sort of how you got to what you're doing?
Sure. And I feel like my story may be a little bit different because I didn't like get married really young and, jump into this life. I was in my 30s. I had a whole career, a whole life before I met my husband. I was a producer in television. I'd been working with, HBO and Showtime and several like huge brands. I had my own production company. So I got into this military life and went, what have I done? What have I gotten myself into? This is insane. Because I think I went into it with, I'll just keep my life. It's going to be really easy. And it wasn't at all. And a lot of the relationships that I had built, leaving, moving, supporting and following my husband and supporting his career did not make it easy for my career. And then we had children. And I had this conversation with my husband. I said, I remember at the very beginning when he asked me, like, well, what are you going to do about work? And I said, what I always do about work. And he was like, well, the Army's not going to let me out. You're not going to say, sure, it's okay. He's like, I am in this life. So we made some choices, and one of the choices that we made, because I wanted to be a mom and I wanted to be with my kids, was I stepped back from my career and went into a completely different field. I learned very quickly that being a military spouse and a stay-at-home mom, the stay-at-home mom part was not for me.
Yes, not for everybody.
Yeah, I went, no, I did it for a year. And then I threw myself into everything at school. I was the PTO president, head of the yearbook. Like, what can I volunteer? What can I do? Because I missed my career. I missed being active. And then I became a teacher. So it worked out great. I was on the kids' schedules, and it was a very easy transition until, as I say, until that day when I realized, I miss me. I miss all the things that I love to do. Even though I was teaching film and television production at the high school level, I missed doing it. And I shared what I wanted to do with one of my students, well, with the whole class. And I love that they were listening because they said exactly what I had said to them. Oh, you don't need a big budget in production. You have a cell phone. You can go on YouTube. I went, wow, at least they were listening.
Yeah.
What I was saying. And that was the birth of moving with the military, because I wanted to get back to my roots of storytelling. And then my second love, which was creating interior design and building spaces. So I said, let's put those two things together and create a TV series. And with my production background, I thought it would be super easy. Get to the networks, they would say yes. And they said no, a lot of no's. And the big thing I heard was, we are so thankful for your husband's service and what you and your family do. However, we don't think America would be interested in a show dedicated to military families.
Really? Why? Did they say why? Just because?
Just as they put it, the nature of the American viewing public wouldn't really care for it to be a constant. We're a great special, Veterans Day, but not an always. And I remember my husband was there with me, and he's like, oh, you just unleashed the Kraken. You have no idea what you have done. And I'm thankful, because now we're in our 7th season. We've been doing it ourselves, and we are very connected to our following and community that supports the show. I always say we've got like a crazy cult following.
Yeah.
And we love that. It turned out to be a blessing in disguise, if you will. But the basic story.
Yeah, right. Well, and I know that it's all kind of like a part of the process. I'm sure a lot of no's and all that, but it had to be so frustrating. But now you can watch it. Is it VetStream TV? Is that right?
It's on VetStream TV, and that's a free service. I love to plug them because it was a network started by retired Marines, and
Wow.
I love that they're military as well. So we support each other. So I tell everyone, go there first. Yes, you can see it on the Facebook and YouTube and other places, but support them first.
Yeah. And so, yeah, could we talk more about the show while we're on the topic? So, yeah, you help out military family. I mean, how do you fight? How did the, tell me more about the show.
It's insanity times a million. We thought when we started, like, okay, we'll be able to help a few people, and didn't realize how great the need was until we started receiving the emails. I do not have a lack of families
Yeah.
all over the world. We went to Alaska, where actually nobody knows this, and I'll share it with you first. We're actually headed to South Korea, and we're going to be honoring a family in South Korea. Like it is all becoming
Wow.
right now. But families nominate themselves or get nominated by someone else. On our website, it says nominate a deserving military family. And I think every single family is deserving, this
Mhm.
life that we live. So we go through it. We have a team that looks and reads through the stories. And sadly, the most difficult part is budget, because I
Yeah.
get stories of their house burnt down in a fire. They lost everything. They need a whole new house. And I'm like, as you can see my face, we don't have those budgets yet, but we will. And we have done entire homes due to fires, and redesigned and rebuilt spaces. So we help families across the country. We travel and get to hear their stories, get to share their stories with America, all branches of service: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard, National Guard, Reserve, Space Force. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody.
Thanks for,
So, right.
yeah.
So it really is, it's a family affair, if you will. Our children help. That our son was filming all the time until recently, when he decided to join the Army.
Wow.
So now, in my husband's last 300 plus days of military service, I'm a military spouse and a military mom.
Oh my goodness. So much. So your husband has what, about a year left then?
My husband has a year left, and our son is right now at basic training.
Oh my gosh. So just the circle keeps going, huh?
So I'm like, I thought we were done. We're just getting started again.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, well, so I guess when you think back, like you said, you help so many families. Is there one or two that like really sticks out to you that was just such a gift to be able to help? Is there one that you can think of?
That's so hard. That is such a
Yeah.
hard question, because it really is all of them. I remember every single one.
Yeah.
Our very first makeover, the Moore family here in Texas,
Mhm.
that moment when you, well, for me, it's like a panic attack. I start off going, I think, so I have to play psychologist, private investigator, because the part of the show is, we're giving you a makeover, but you have no idea what I'm doing. You got to trust me.
Yeah.
And so I develop a relationship with them, a rapport, to figure them out. And that's where the private investigator or psychologist starts, because people often say they are one thing, and then when we start building a Pinterest board, they're completely different.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, what's happening here? But through the conversations, we figure it out. And then they find out the day of the reveal when they get home. So basically, kick them out of their house. Then they come back and they get to see what we've done. And so far, I'm crossing like everything. It has been a wonderful experience, and every family has been amazing and has said the exact same thing after the reveal is done. Please tell me when you are doing your next family we want to help.
Really? Every time?
Time. It has not failed. They're like, how can we get involved in your next one? Are you coming back here? Or people have moved and are like, hey, I'm in your area. If you ever need a volunteer, please give me a call. I can help paint. So that's so special, because it's more than stuff.
Yeah.
It's more than the things that we're putting into the makeover. It's they have often said, we feel seen we feel heard. So thank you for that. The stuff is beautiful and it's very nice, but it's far greater than that. It really is about building a community and showing people we see you. We hear your story, we understand you, we get you. And so it's hard to pick one. I can't because there's just I
It's like
love that.
pick your favorite child. I understand.
I know, right? If you want, I guess if you want a story like that, it was there's two. You did
Hmm.
say okay.
Yeah.
So one was a family moving from California to Ohio, and they were watching television either at I think they were at the hotel, and their son said, "I think that's our stuff on fire." And the father's
Oh,
like, "What are you talking about?" They were watching the news about a moving truck that had caught on fire. Just weird fire that happened. Who knows how it happened?
wow.
But the child could see their things. It was their PCS truck, and they lost everything. The only thing they had was the suitcases that they had with them. And even the spouse said, we never like put everything in the truck. We always kept a few things until this time. They put everything, their whole life. Memories, it's again, it's not about the dining table, but it's about the photos they can't get back, the, birth announcements, the baby's first blanket.
Oh,
It was all gone. It was all gone. And this was right before Christmas. So people were messaging me on Facebook going, "Are you watching the news? Do you see this? Do you see what's going on? Maria, you need to go help them." So I called our sponsor and I said, "I know this is not in our budget, but we need to make it in our budget. We need to figure this out for this family." And we did. We did their entire home.
oh,
They were on their way to a new house that they were renting, but or had purchased. I think they had purchased it sight unseen. So they
done
didn't even
that. Yep.
yeah, right? They were getting into. So we were able to help them right before Christmas. So it was really beautiful to be able to do that. And then the other story was a military spouse who got on social media and pleaded for help.
Mm.
It was during COVID. She had left for a while to be with her family, came home before her husband was coming back from a deployment. It was a Navy family. And when she walked in her house got infested by roof rats.
Oh gosh.
They came in through a hole smaller than the size of a nickel. I didn't know they could flatten their bodies like that.
Hmm.
But, when one got in, it sort of was sonar to the rest of the rat world. Come in. And roof rats eat everything, drywall, carpet, everything. And she walked into her house and she was devastated. So she got on social media and people started sending it to me. "Do you see this? Do you see this?" So we said, okay, let's help her. And it took us a month. We renovated because we had to rebuild inside, walls, flooring, just it was a monster to do in a short amount of time, but we helped them. So those two are like standouts because they were crazy stories. But again, to me, every family is deserving and every family is wonderful. So
Well,
it's
I
kind
could see. Yeah, and for those who don't know, like you were saying, when you are a military family, a lot of times when you move, you put all your stuff in storage and you keep it because not all the time, the moves don't work out where you can just move from your old place to your new place. You have to keep your stuff. And so to have it, that was like my biggest nightmare. You watch that truck drive away and you're like, there's my life. I hope I see that stuff again. So I can't imagine what that family must have gone through when it caught on fire. Oh my gosh.
and it was devastating for them, but I'm glad we were able to step in and help them. And, people often say, well, they have insurance. Well, they didn't.
Oh.
They canceled their insurance policy because they thought the military would cover everything. And I was like, define everything because it doesn't. It's to an amount, but it does not cover everything. So a lot of the fine print. I always tell people I should be a spokesperson for an insurance company. Have insurance because
Yeah.
that will be do not cancel it ever as a military family because that will be what could save you. We are 75% more at risk than any other population for something to happen to us because we move so frequently, whether it's a natural disaster, PCS truck getting on fire, catching on fire, PCS trucks getting stolen. We are far more at risk than any other demographic.
What a stat. I did not know that.
I learned that because I am the 2019 Armed Forces Insurance Army Spouse of the Year. So through my work with the insurance company, I did learn a lot of the insurance stats. And that's one thing I tell new families all the time. Please have renter's insurance
Mhm.
and make sure that your policy covers you in transit.
That's good advice.
That's a
That's good
that's
advice. Yeah. Well, my goodness, Marie. So yeah, if we could talk about now sort of like your personal life, if you don't mind. So yeah, so you've been married for how long now?
you just made me think about it. I went, how long have I been married? I've been married for 21 years. We're going on 22 this year. Um, my husband has been in the Army, seems like forever. He is retiring this year. He's excited. He's
Yeah.
excited to have served his country, to have completed his career, but I think he's ready to jump ship and come do the show with us. I always say he's the most charming one. Everybody loves him. He could come on camera, full beard, kind of looking haphazard. It's okay. They love him. Let me do it. Oh, woo, it'll be a nightmare. But he's such a great guy. I love working with him. So I'm glad that, coming in 2025, he'll be more a part of moving with the military. And we have a daughter, our first child. She's a college student studying to be a doctor. And she is just a wonderful, wonderful young lady. I love that she went away to school, but really wanted to come back. So it's nice having her at home.
Hmm.
And then our son decided after one semester in college, and he said, I did it for you, Mom. I did what you said. He decided to go and join the Army himself. So he's at basic training. And my heart feels all kinds of ways because I'm proud. I'm so proud of his service. And I'm just, Mom, I'm momming, and my mom heart is all over the place. So
Yeah, but I would. Do you have like any anxiety? I mean, I would imagine like you say everything, right?
all of it,
Yeah.
all the anxieties, because he didn't join. And I don't want to get no people coming at me for this. He didn't join the military and not want to be high speed.
Mm.
So he joined with like a ranger contract. I'm like, oh boy, so you're going full speed ahead, all the dangers of the world, all the and even it's just dangers in training. We see how often service members get hurt
Mhm.
during training exercises. So I'm just like trying not to think about it. But I haven't heard from him in weeks. Then I should be used to that. You know,
Well, it never. I know it's always so hard, right? So, so can you take me through how did you meet your husband?
oh, okay. So my husband and I, and it's not the most fabulous story, but we did meet in a bar
Uh-huh.
in in Florida. He was on leave. And when he told me, oh, I'm in the military, my immediate thought was, nope.
Yeah.
But I had no connection to the military at all. The only thing I knew about the military was Top Gun. What you saw on TV. And I was just like, no, that just doesn't sound like anything I want to be a part of. And then he left and I did give him my email address and my phone number. And he left back to, where was he? Fort Campbell. And he was persistent. He kept messaging me emails. This was, back in the day. And I went, but then one day I had to, as I said, I was a director prior to getting into this military life. I had a music video I was directing in Nashville. And thinking like Florida, that everything is far away. It's like, Miami to Tallahassee. Oh, that's like 7 hours. Okay. Or 9 hours. No problem. So I said, how far is Fort Campbell from Nashville? Thinking it's far. Hello. And he's like, 45 minutes. Want to meet for dinner?
Oh,
So I said, okay. I said, yes, let's meet for dinner. And since I had never been on a military installation or even seen anything, I thought it would be neat. I said, I'll come to you. I want to see that. I want to see what all that is. And that was the beginning of the love story. 6 months later, we got married.
oh, really? And that was 21 years ago, you said?
Years ago. Yeah, it was
Oh
uh,
my gosh.
at the very, very beginning of, which was all the things I was learning of OIF1. I learned what a stop loss was.
What is that?
when you can't get out of the military because we're headed into some potentially dangerous situation.
Oh, I
So
didn't
they
know that was the name for it. Yeah, okay.
stop loss. And this was that very beginning of OIF1. And he told me, I can't tell, we'd been married a monthish, maybe. I am now pregnant. He says, you need to come up here to Fort Campbell. I said, no, you're renting a truck because you were getting out of the military in a couple of days. He goes, well, this not gonna really work out that way, but I need you to come up here. So I drove up to Fort Campbell, however long that is, 14-hour drive. And I get there and I remember, it's so vivid, just this sea of duffel bags and soldiers just all standing at like parade rest. And they all looked like babies to me. They were so young. And I said, what's going on? And he walked over and he said, I can't tell you, but I'm leaving. He knew when he proposed that they were going to be leaving. And look, I'm going to
Oh,
cry. And he just wanted everything to be set up in case he didn't come back. And
oh,
he said, I have to go. I can't really tell you anything. I may or may not come back. And I'm like, you're telling a very new pregnant person what? And then I just basically handed him the pregnancy test and said, you know, you need to come back. You're going to be a father. You need to come back.
oh.
And 9 months later, almost 9 months later, he came home. He called me from Ireland and said, I'm on my way back. Tell her to wait.
Oh,
That was our baby. And I put the phone to my belly and I said, you tell her. You tell her.
oh,
He came home. She was due the day he was flying. She did not come. And when he landed, maybe within hours of him landing, I started having pains. And I'm like, we need to go to the hospital. It's today.
wow.
It's happening now. So yeah.
I trust me, I know all this stuff is just so, it gets so emotional. It does, even, so many years later. Yeah, I was starting to cry. I know.
He is still my greatest love. I'm his biggest fan. I still see him in uniform and it takes my breath away.
Let me cry.
And we're older, but I love that I still feel that way and that he still feels that way. Like when we've gone to balls, he's like, ooh, you cleaned up nice. Let's go have a grown-up date without kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long has he been in for?
20. So he had a break in service
Uh,
after OIF1 and then he came back. But he's been in 20 years.
wow. And so, I mean, of course, I find I relate to your story because I too, I was, gosh, in my mid to late 30s when I met my now husband. I was very settled in my career. I met him and he said, yeah, I'm in the Navy. And I was kind of like, how is this going to happen? Like, this isn't going to work. But there was something I was like, I just really like this guy. And so I kept going and it all worked out. But I will say, and people tend to say this that, well, oh, didn't you know what you were getting yourself into? Getting married to somebody in the military. You have no idea, right? It's like you can read about it or whatever, hear from it, but I really feel I had no idea what I was getting. Did you feel that way?
Absolutely. Someone handed me a book, a friend of mine whose husband was a retired lieutenant colonel, and they had just gotten out a couple of years before my husband went back in, and she handed me a book. And I said, is this going to help me? She goes, no, but I feel like I need to give this to you. Go. And I went, okay. And no, the book didn't help me at all. It's like the trial by fire. You're in, figure it out, go. And
Yeah.
it was a lot. It was a lot to handle. I am so glad, even with all of that being said, I'm so glad we've lived this life. It has been, oh, again, look, girl, I'm crying. I think it has been our pleasure, our honor as a military family, as a service family, to help our country and our community.
Mm,
There's so much that you learn, that you love. And again, I'll probably get some hate for this. I think everyone should serve,
yeah.
men and women. I think it really teaches you so much. And you have a different perspective. and a love for your country and your fellow human that I don't know if I would have felt the same not having lived this life. Um,
Interesting. Yeah.
and I see it. There's a difficulty right now in our country getting people, men and women,
Hmm.
to join the service.
Hmm.
But when you see military kids, like it's my son, I don't believe is going because, oh, I don't know what I want to do. So I'm gonna join the military. No, it's a call to service. It's what he wants to do. And you don't see that. And even the recruiter was like, he's rare. That's very rare. You don't see that much anymore. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate that from all the military kids that go and join.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, what for you would you say was sort of the biggest hurdle that you kind of had to get through in terms of being a military spouse?
Um, at first, it was very difficult to move.
Hmm.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I really, my parents have lived in the same house since we moved from Cuba.
Oh, wow.
My dad is 93 and still lives in that house.
Oh.
Like it's a lifetime of roots. So, knowing that, what do you mean every 2 to 3 years you're going to move? Tell me about that. I don't know how I feel about that. But over time, I have learned to enjoy that, to like really dig into it and say, how about we learn about every area that we go to? And with children, they were both, growing up in the same house, but very different. Our son was always like, when do we go? What are we doing? Woohoo! And our daughter was like, oh God, we're moving again. But when she went to college, she learned very quickly and said, which was a shocker, I'm so glad I was a military kid. And I went, really? Why? Tell me the things. And she said, because I can figure it out. I can get along. I see some of these kids who come to college for the first time and they're lost and don't know what to do. So she
Mm.
said, now at my age, I am thankful that we got to move around and we experienced different places. And yeah, there were challenges, but we figured them out. So the hardest thing was the moving, but it was also one of the best things was moving.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I'm born and raised in Chicago, never moved, lived there for, 30 plus years. And so same thing when I was told, I gotta move, we gotta move, we're bouncing around Jacksonville, Florida, Norfolk, Virginia. I mean, it has been hard, but it's been one of the best experiences, even just to meet new people and yeah, see new places and now kind of make friends. I have one of my absolute best friends lives in Jacksonville. So it's just that would have never happened otherwise. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. It's a blessing. I really
Yeah.
do think it's a blessing. And it helps you grow as a person and it helps you, I think, problem solve. When I was a teacher, I would say that to my students all the time. I don't want you just to learn the material to take the test, to, get the A and then forget everything. I want you to really learn the material. How do you apply that to life when you have a problem? So I think being a military family is a great way to develop problem solving skills.
Yeah. How many deployments have you had to deal with?
Well, when I know I did the face because it was at the beginning of
Yeah.
OIF1 and then it was all through all of that. I think I lost count, but we're in the teens.
Really?
Yeah. You know
Like,
how we have those tick marks on
yeah.
our sleeve and it just keeps going? He's got a lot of those. I should count them, but it's been so many. That's when I said I haven't heard from my son in weeks. I should be used to it. I'm used to it from my husband being gone months and years at a time, but
Yeah.
never my child.
So what was the longest one? Was it years, a year or two?
18, I want to say about 18 months. It was
Wow.
during the thick of it. And it's
Wow.
interesting when your child, our oldest daughter, said, now she's 20, said her whole life has been in a war. She was born in it, and up until almost, she was 20 years old before we got out, but not really out. And she's
Yeah.
like, I feel like that has been my whole life, and that puts things into perspective. You start to think about that, how the kids really process and go through things. And I think that was one of the leading catalysts of wanting to develop the show, was to show the family support. And I love the service members and showing support for the service members, but the families go through a lot too, especially the kids. So being able to do something for them is really important to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how did you deal with it? And how did you deal with it with the kids? Gone 18 months, your husband's, I mean, how do you do it? What advice would you give?
Um, do everything. Don't, this for me is what really motivated me. Don't stop living, because at the beginning I felt bad. How can we go to Disney World? How can we go have fun while he is over there deployed, living in the dirt, probably not even having Thanksgiving, eating an MRE? How can we go have fun?
Yeah.
So at the beginning, I didn't want to. No, we're going to stay home. We're going to do this. And I had a conversation with my husband, and he was the one who said, again, look at girl, keep crying. He
Let it out.
was like, I lived through what you guys are doing. When you're happy and you're living, I'm okay. I'm
Oh,
happy. So do the things. So we would do day trips, field trips. Let's go find a trail. Let's go do all the things. At the beginning, we didn't have a lot of money. So let's find all the free things. There are a lot of free things to do everywhere. Go find them. Go to the beach, make picnic lunches, go and do the things. Go for walks. Go and do what makes you happy, because your children need to be happy. They need to understand that this is okay, that daddy's going to be okay. If you're sitting there and constantly, like, I stopped watching the news.
yeah.
The news was a big no for me. Because in the beginning, very pregnant with our daughter at the beginning of OIF1, I don't remember if you knew the story of a service member who threw a grenade into his own unit.
I don't know if I remember. Gosh, but I have a
Okay.
horrible
That
memory.
was my husband's unit.
Oh,
And the whole
oh,
time I'm thinking, was he in the tent? What happened? What
oh
happened?
no.
And my sister came, and then there was a phone call from command letting us know that everything was fine. But when the phone call came, my sister, like, she sunk. She went, oh my God, there's a phone call. And I got happy. And she goes, how can you be so happy? I said, because the one thing I do know, there wasn't a knock at the door.
Oh,
We're okay. Everything is okay. And that was like my introduction into, being a military spouse. Like, you're just going to get everything slammed at you right away. But, with the kids, it was doing things with them and letting them know that it was okay to celebrate the things, celebrate the wins. Yes, we're going to have Christmas. Will we keep the Christmas tree up until July? Yes, of course, because we're going to celebrate it again. So it was all those things that made us a little different than our
oh.
civilian families. But, because they would ask us, why is your Christmas tree still up? Oh, well, let me tell you. The kids too, we did the links, the paper, what are those called? The, not cardboard,
Yeah, I know
construction.
what you're talking about, the paper chain
Yeah.
links.
The
Yeah.
chain links of every day, the candy. We would eat candy until, have a chocolate
Oh,
every day until daddy came home, and then we would see it. So we did all the things, do all the DIYs, make all the care packages. We did it all. And it was so wonderful to do that. And he would always say, I got so happy. Even if it came and half of it was smushed, crushed, he goes, it didn't matter. I ate the crumbled up Oreos because this came from my family. So it
oh.
was wonderful just to get the kids really involved in the whole process.
Well, and it seems like they're doing great, right? I mean, do they say like, "Oh, that was horrible when dad was gone," or I mean, I'm sure to some extent, right? But it seems like they're doing really well.
They are. I
Yeah.
believe they're very well
Yeah.
adjusted, but we've always been a communication. Like, my son was very honest and said, you're the one who's been around for everything, mom.
Mhm.
Here we go again. He goes, it's been you. So I love dad. Absolutely love my dad. I mean, everything about joining the army was about dad, but the first person he called when he was able to get his first phone call, which is the only call I've received, was me. And I do appreciate that. It's just different relationships. But his dad is his hero. You know, he wants to be, when they say, I want to be just like my dad, that
Yeah.
kid, absolutely just like, and not just be like him. I think he wants to beat all the things, like get the higher PT score,
Oh,
get complete ranger school and become a ranger and do all the things. Like he's like, I want to outstep him every part of. I'm like, it is not a competition. And
some
my husband,
friendly competition. Yeah.
oh,
Oh.
my husband will say, oh no, absolutely, it is a competition. Yes. He'll say it to me. I want him to win. I want him to do better.
Oh. Yeah. Man, I feel that. Yeah, because I feel that way with, my daughter. She's much younger than your kid. She's going to be 2 in June, but that's how I feel, and I did feel guilty. I would take her to the zoo, and my husband had never been to the zoo with her, and, do all these things. And so that feels better that you say that because that's what my husband would say too. He said, no, I want you to do that stuff with her, because why wouldn't you? What else are you going to do? I was like, yeah,
Right.
that's true. Yeah.
Document it all.
Yeah.
Document it because they love seeing it.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have when the OIF one, there was no FaceTime. There was no iPhone. That didn't even exist 20 plus
True.
years ago. So it was very different. He'd get letters. I'd put pictures and Polaroids and he might get them 3 months later. But things like missing first steps or missing birthdays and up until a few years ago, I said, the deployment gods were good to us because we had never missed Thanksgiving or Christmas. Never.
Really?
He was always home right before. And
Wow.
then the deployment cycle changed. And then the last 8 years, it's like he missed everything, all the holidays. But that's why I said we would keep it up. We would keep up the Christmas tree, keep up all the things. But I always thought we're gonna get through it and we will never miss a holiday. Yeah, no.
Spoke too soon, but man, so that must be so exciting to have him home. Like, is he excited? I would imagine he is, right?
He is, but he's not home
Well,
now
I guess
either.
he's not home, but in a year, I guess seeing the end,
Yes.
I should say, the
Yes.
light at the end of the tunnel, I should
No, no.
say.
He's in
Yeah.
training, so they've been gone for a little bit, and they'll be back hopefully shortly. But yes, that light at the end of the tunnel when he wants to. He says, "I love what you do at the show." He goes, "I'm weird on camera, but you'll teach me." And I was like, "Sure, it'll be fun." And so he's excited to be a part of it and start his new chapter.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
exciting.
It's going to be a whole new life for you. But then, like you said, then you have to worry about your son, I guess. So,
Well, my husband and I don't think we had that time to date and just do things us.
right.
We never had that. We married, kids, military, go. So now we feel like it's our turn, for his retirement. We want to just leave, go somewhere for a month or two. And our kids, especially our daughter, was like, am I going? Like, we love you, but no, it's our turn. So I just feel it's a great time for us to be able to be us
Yeah.
again.
Oh. Well, I am so excited for you. I mean, this has just been amazing, Maria. I love chatting with you. Is there anything else you want to add or say or that we missed that you want to touch on?
Well, I just want to tell military spouses, especially, ones that are about to be, that military girlfriend, that military fiance, that new military spouse, you're going to be okay. You're going to be
Yeah.
okay. It has its challenges, but this can be such a great and wonderful life. And I do believe it is that adage, it's what you make it. It
Yeah.
really is. And if you want to be the humdrum, oh, this is horrible, it will be. That's what I used to say to my students. If you're going to fail that you think you're going to fail the test, chances are you're going to fail the test. But if you come at it with a positive attitude about there are some great things, there's some great benefits, great opportunities, can be stationed overseas, get to explore foreign countries, you get this great opportunity, look at it as a positive, and I think your outlook will change how you view how this military life happens to you. So be positive, be a glass half full instead of a glass half empty.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I think too, there's even kind of a cool thing that really, I mean, unless you're a military spouse, I don't know what other capacity you'd experience it where you're away for such a long period of time and then you come back together. I think there is something about that where it's like, it's difficult, but it's also a unique way to kind of grow the relationship, right? And kind of into like a new trajectory. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that is what a lot of the my heart still skips a beat when I see him in uniform. It's still because we did spend so much time apart that when we reintegrated and got back together, it was like dating again.
Yeah.
So it was fun. We took those opportunities to be romantic. We never let that go away. We still date. We go on day dates when we can. We go on afternoon dates. We try and do everything that we can together. People see us and they're like, you're like high school kids.
Oh,
You guys are just like, we love things like Disney World and we'll go do all the things because why not?
yeah.
Why not? And I think it is important in a marriage to remember that it's a choice you make every day. And I have said this to him. I love you. I will always love you. Sometimes I may not like you a lot that day, but that's okay. That doesn't mean I stop loving you. And when you make that a conscious effort to love and to grow the relationship and nurture the relationship, I think you can be, I want to say like us, but at a 20 plus year of being married, and I look at my sister as a role model. My sister's been married for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
50 years, a whole lifetime
Wow.
with someone. And I want that.
Yeah.
I want it to be long. And I want young military families, young military couples to look at us and go, it can happen. The military won't destroy you.
Hmm.
But I believe you can't let it destroy you. You have to work at it.
That's so good. That's so good. And, you know, kind of in the spirit of this podcast, that's why I wanted to do it is kind of look at relationships. How can they be more loving? How can we do better in our relationships? So this has been so good, Maria.
I'm glad that key word to me, communicate, talk about it. Don't let things sit in there. Talk about it and talk about it like adults, not fighting, but
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for
So
having me.
good.
I appreciate it.
Oh gosh, thanks so much for coming on. So again, do you want to just end? I want to make sure everybody knows, right, Moving with the Military on Vetstream TV. Check it out.
Check it
And
out, please. And if
yeah,
I could add one last thing,
please.
I am one of the co-founders of the Inspire Up Foundation. It was created by 3 military spouses. And our entire mission in the Inspire Up Foundation is to spread kindness. So once a year on Giving Tuesday, we were also the co-founders of the Giving Tuesday Military Movement. They can see it on givingtuesdaymilitary.com or the inspireupfoundation.org. And it is a day to just be good and kind to your fellow man. It doesn't cost a single thing to be a good human.
Oh,
So I encourage military families to check it out and be ready because it's coming up in, I want to say it's the end of November, beginning of December. I don't know my dates of when
yeah,
giving is. How horrible is that?
that's okay. That's okay. No, we can easily find it. So
I'm gonna
no,
look really quick. I went,
yeah, okay, go for it. No, but while you're looking, I mean, Maria, again, thank you so much. This has been so great to talk to you and just a lot of good stuff, a lot of good stuff with this
thank you.
chat.
December 3rd, because Thanksgiving is December 28th, and
Okay,
it's the Thursday, the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So
that's right.
December 3rd this year. We want people to be kind every day, but that's a really great day to create projects with your kids, with your spouses groups, with your spouse. Go do something nice for someone else.
Awesome. That's right, because it's after Black Friday. Yeah, I
Yes,
remember now.
it's
Yeah,
all the
that's right.
things that give
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Saturday, whatever all the things are.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Well, awesome, Maria. I hope we can chat again, maybe somehow come together in another capacity. I don't know, but I would love to stay in touch.
Where are you located in the world?
So I'm in Norfolk, Virginia right now,
Woo!
Hampton Roads.
Guess where I'm coming this summer?
Yeah?
Yep, we're coming to your area. So we would love to meet you in person. And if you'd love to volunteer or
I
even
would
come in
love it.
behind the scenes and see the madness, we'd love to have you.
Oh my gosh, I would love it. I would love it. Well, we'll stay in touch, but thank you so much again, Maria, for chatting with me.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.